Well, after a 3-month hiatus, being Halloween and all, I think I have the perfect mod to talk about, that being Cry of Fear. Cry of Fear is a survival horror game developed by an independent studio. Wait, don't go, it's not shit, I swear to God. Originally, development started in 2008 by Team Psykskallar, but it didn't officially release until 2012 due to time limitations. During this time, it went through various gameplay changes from as mundane as the light in your phone would light around you, or just in front of you, to limiting your inventory slots to 12 to 6. Some of these changes would have been better left untouched, but I'll explain later. Before that, let's talk a little bit about the plot. Wait a minute, is this the first time you've covered a mod that actually has a coherent plot? Let me check. Oh shit, it is. I'm not gonna spoil the entire story outright. You play as Simon, a young man that is going on a peaceful night walk in Stockholm, Sweden, when he sees an injured man crawling out of an alley. Being the good boy you are, you go up and help the man, only to be punished for your good deeds and getting hit by a car for it. You then wake up in an alley somehow uninjured and lost. Well, I guess I should get back to the street. Weird, there's no people around. Hey, there's someone. No, he's gone. Well, I just killed a homeless person. That's good. Well, actually, I don't think that's a homeless person at all. Where am I? Am I in hell? Shit. Should have never taken those antidepressant drugs.
And if you do drugs, you go to hell before you die. Please.
Unfortunately, you'll meet many more of these horrific humanoids as you progress, as well as a cutscene at the beginning and end of each level, with bosses thrown in for extra flavor. But through subtle clues throughout the game, whether it's random notes, certain locations, or characters, everything seems to have an underlying purpose that's trying to rear its head, but can't quite get there. Before I get any further in the plot, let's talk a little bit about the atmosphere, and as well as graphics at this part. Not because they're groundbreaking. The lighting and texture work, however, are incredibly well done for being on the Half-Life 1 engine, which lends itself to the atmosphere that Cry of Fear's team have managed to create for it. Every area you visit feels dirty and depressing, while at the same time having environments that look like it's running on not the Gold Circ engine? I guess that's a compliment. The game then juxtaposes this with the low quality model detail and animations of the monsters you fight to give off this incredibly unnerving tone. Now normally I would hate this contrast, but it works so well within the game's theme and the underlying message of everything, I don't mind. The audio and sound design is also not too bad as well. Guns and sounds are serviceable. The music is atmospheric in the same vein as Silent Hill. Actually, the music is very unnerving at times, giving off feelings of sorrow, to feeling uncomfortable and rushed. And the enemy noises range from terrifying to deafening. Jesus Christ, Slade, this wouldn't be a problem if you just fucking stayed dead. The only bad thing I can really say about the sound design is the voice acting. It's amateurish at best and also gets eclipsed by the music in a lot of occasions. So definitely turn on subtitles for this one.
Hey! What the fuck are you doing?
Not you again.
Wait! Oh shit! Is it the he was talking about?
Actually, now it's a pretty good time to talk about combat, I guess. So the combat is, again, interesting, especially since you only have a knife at the beginning of the game. One of the struggles working with the Half-Life 1 engine is Half-Life's combat was serviceable, but has since aged pretty poorly, unfortunately. You can dual wield, which is nice, but I suggest having one free hand to hold your phone, which is your primary light source in the game. The thing about dual wielding is, or having your phone out, is you can't reload. You need to have one hand free to do that, and this game does not make on-the-fly inventory manage a breeze. They allow you to set items to a hotbar, but you can only fit 3 items in it, and it's better than nothing, but come on. Because of the small inventory space, you're restricted only to a handful of pickups, those being ammo, guns, and syringes. Syringes being your way to refill health. Well, Uncle Lou, we're already in hell, better just go whole hog at this point.
Swing your arms from side to side. Come on, it's time to go do the Mario.
This is shared for all items in the game. By the way, your guns, ammo, syringes, and especially quest objects all share these 6 spaces. This forces you to drop beneficial items in place of quest items, causing even more level backtracking to pick up dropped items. You also can't save whenever you want. You have to find tape recorders layered around. If you play on higher difficulties, you have limited saves. And if you've ever played Resident Evil, you should feel right at home with this. Cryfear also switches genres in places from survival to action, where it dumps a ton of enemies on top of you like you're playing a layered Dead to Space game. Now I'm giving the game a lot of shit. I don't know if I'm just not good enough to play, or I'm just not used to the traditional horror game elements, or old school horror game mechanics, but I'm trying to give the impression of what a new player might experience booting up the game for the first time. So if you live for games like the original Resident Evils and Silent Hills, this will be a walk in the park for you. But for everyone else, I could see you getting frustrated with the game because I did a good amount of times. The good news is there's a difficulty selection, so if the archaic inventory management and the odd reloading combat mechanics are too much for you, no shame in normal or even easy. You also have a stamina system for dodging enemy hits and running. This is fine on paper, but if the bar gets to 0, you're as good as dead. How long do you think it takes for it to recharge? 5 seconds? 10 seconds? No, 30 seconds. More than enough time to be impaled by whatever these things are for hands. Thankfully, you eventually get access to some decent weapons like a pistol, shotgun, and machine gun, but even those seem sluggish when it comes to reloading and switching weapons compared to your run-of-the-mill first-person shooter. Well, at least the enemies only smack you, and it can't hit you from long range, right? Wait, that's a floating bed, isn't it? Oh, it's spitting on me. That's very cool. And this guy has a pistol too. That's great. Yep, that's awesome. No complaints here. Also, don't reload all the time. You'll lose bullets if you reload a clip too early, and depending on what difficulty you're playing on, that could mean life or death. This, I think, is a good time to talk about the enemy designs as well. The short answer is they're all fantastic. Low poly and low res, yes, but conceptually these are on the same level as Silent Hill monsters, which is a very good trait to have in my opinion. You have a surprising range of monsters as well. You have homeless crack addicts, fetuses, the girl from The Ring, trash bag children, and what else? Ah yes, absolute terror. How could I forget this one? There are about a dozen or so other monsters you'll encounter, and they get more surreal and disturbing as you progress through the game. The game also plays on, I think, a little too much on jump scares, but in reality, I don't think it really needs. The game can handle itself fine without them, but it will also walk the line of a jump scare that you know is coming. A good example is where you can hear a chainsaw somewhere in the distance, you know what's going to happen, you know there's going to be an enemy with a chainsaw, you just don't know when, and then it hits you. So despite the annoying inventory system, outdated graphics, and gameplay in parts, there is a great game here with a fantastic creepy atmosphere, a compelling story, which ends up being Cries of Fear's ace in the hole. Despite its unforgiving mechanics, this entire game's atmosphere makes it extremely appealing, and why I think a ton of people hold it in such high regard and rate it some of the best in the entire genre. Do I think it stands with the best? Well, considering this was made by a very tiny team as a mod on an almost 20-year-old game engine, you definitely can't say they didn't try to. But I think there's a ton of mechanics and various aspects of the game that need changed or flat removed to make this a legitimate contender. If Cry of Fear ever gets a remaster with these issues addressed and maybe even a new coat of paint, I believe it could stand toe-to-toe with horror game giants and would gladly shell out $60 for it. There is also a co-op horror mode, which is a separate story, and I didn't talk about it. It's pretty challenging, but overall fun with friends, and it's loosely connected to the main story. And by loosely, it takes place in the same town, it has the same monsters, but all the overarching themes are kind of removed. So if you're into that, it's a good time. I give Cry of Fear the amount of times I died to Saw Runner out of 10.